I want to share a statistic that sounds like a glitch in the matrix. Right now, millions of retirees who entered their golden years with a $1 million nest egg are set to pass away with $5 million. You're likely thinking they hit the lottery with market timing. Actually, it is the standard outcome for most disciplined savers. But here is the tragedy. Most of these people are living in a state of constant anxiety, terrified that they are one bad month away from insolvency. Why are we stockpiling mountains of cash we will never touch while losing sleep over a bankruptcy that will never happen? Let's look at the data that the high-fee financial industry tries to keep hidden. The financial world is obsessed with the number 1 million. It is clean, it sounds impressive, and it sells subscriptions. The road to $1 million and the 7-figure retirement trap. The headlines are relentless. But here is the grounding truth. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the median net worth for Americans aged 65 to 74 is approximately $410,000. That is not even half of the magic number you are told you need. You might see average net worths cited at nearly $2 million, but you have to understand how averages work. If a professional athlete with a $50 million contract walks into a local park, the average person in that park is a multimillionaire. It doesn't pay for anyone else's groceries. If you are burning yourself out at a job you dislike just to hit a round number that has no basis in your actual life, you are trading your finite time for an arbitrary benchmark. You do not need the number. You need your number. This next insight is counterintuitive, but it is backed by decades of data. The typical retiree household spends roughly $57,800 annually, about $4,800 a month. That is a comfortable life, not a nomadic struggle. More importantly, spending almost always declines as you age. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that households aged 65 to 74 spend about $60,800, but once they hit 75, that number drops to $53,500. It is simple. The older you get, the less you care about acquiring stuff. You travel less aggressively, you eat out less frequently, and your lifestyle naturally streamlines. Yes, medical bills might rise, but the massive drop in discretionary spending, entertainment, apparel, and transportation usually more than covers the difference. Most people plan for their expenses to skyrocket in old age, and that fear keeps them chained to a desk for 5 years longer than necessary. Let's run a real-world simulation. Imagine a couple both receiving average Social Security checks of $2,000 each. That is a guaranteed $48,000 a year hitting their account like clockwork. If their total annual spending is the average $61,000, they only have a gap of $13,000 that their investments need to bridge. How much do they actually need to cover that $13,000? If they use a 5% withdrawal rate, which is well within the bounds of historical market returns, they only need $260,000 in their brokerage account, not $1 million, not even close. You've heard of the 4% rule created by William Bennon. It is the industry standard: withdraw 4% in year 1, adjust for inflation, and you are safe for 30 years. But what advisors do not tell you is that this rule was built to survive the worst-case scenarios in human history, like retiring right before the Great Depression or the stagflation of the 1970s. Financial researcher Michael Kitches found that if you retire in anything resembling an average market, the 4% rule is so conservative that you are far more likely to end up with 5 times your starting balance than you are to hit zero. Your portfolio grows faster than you can spend it, turning your retirement into an accidental wealth generation machine. The reality is even more extreme. J.P. Morgan found that the most frequent withdrawal rate among retirees is not 4% or even 3%. It is 2%. Why do we hoard so much? First, the habit loop. You spent 40 years learning how to save. Asking your brain to switch to spending mode is like asking a pilot to suddenly drive a tractor. The gears just do not mesh. Second, primal loss aversion. Watching a balance go down, even when the math says it is okay, triggers a fear response. Third, the what-if shadow. Fear of living to 110 or a market collapse leads to what researchers call the consumption gap. the massive space between what you could enjoy and what you actually allow yourself to do. Leaving a legacy is noble, but I see people in their late 70s with $2 million in liquid assets who are still agonizing over the price of a plane ticket to see their family. That is not prudence. It is a hostage situation. They are denying themselves memories they can afford for a future they will not be around to see. Let's look at a single retiree. They get $24,000 a year from Social Security. To cover an average lifestyle of $60,000, they need to bridge a $36,000 gap. At a 5% withdrawal rate, they need $720,000. Still under $1 million. What about a couple that wants to live well? For $75,000 a year, with their Social Security covering $48,000, they need $27,000 from their nest egg. At 5%, they only need $540,000. These people are living a high-quality life, and they are still nowhere near the $1 million requirement the media screams about. The median retirement savings for those on the doorstep of retirement is only about $200,000. Yet the world is not ending for them. Why? Because security is a layered cake. Social Security is the base, followed by home equity, perhaps a small pension or part-time passion work, and then the savings. Did you know 25% of retirees get 90% of their income from Social Security? And many of them are doing fine. If a high-earning couple maxes out their benefits, they can bring in over $70,000 a year from the government alone. They could have zero in the bank and still live better than the average worker. Social Security is a bond that pays out every month regardless of what the S&P 500 does. The real danger is not having too little, it is working too long. What if you gave up 5 years of your life, 5 years of health, travel, and grandkids to hit $1 million target you never actually needed? Those are years you can never buy back. You traded your life to die richer, but not happier. Here is Liam's 4-step action plan. 1. Audit your actual burn rate. Do not guess. Track what your life really costs today. 2. Calculate your guaranteed floor. Find your Social Security estimate and any other fixed income. 3. Isolate the deficit. Subtract your guaranteed income from your expenses. 4. Choose your rate. Divide that gap by 0.04 for a conservative approach or 0.05 for a realistic one. That is your number. It might be $350,000. It might be $800,000. But whatever it is based on your reality, not a marketing department's headline. Retirement is not a finish line. It is a funded lifestyle. If that lifestyle costs less than you feared, you might already be free. The real tragedy is the person who could have walked away at 60 but stayed until 65 chasing a ghost. Stop reading the scary headlines. Start running your own numbers. Question of the day. What is one experience you have been putting off until you have enough? Let me know in the comments. I am Liam, and this is Liam's Smart Finance. The clock is ticking. Do not waste it on numbers that do not matter.